A Science of Change, podcasting by Gilmore Crosby, social scientist, author, and organization development professional since 1984. Hi, Gil Crosby with you again, and I'm excited to have my special guest today, Asher, who is going to talk about, well, Asher, do you go by he? I think you do.
Yes, I use male pronoun.
Yeah, so your experience being trans in the United States, your life story, and the experience now of dealing with the current political climate where there's so much hostility and prejudice, the increase in prejudice. There's always been prejudice, but currently we've gone backwards as far as I'm concerned. So just it's an honor to have you, and you've been through one of our certificate programs. So you've been involved in the T group learning and the type of learning that we provide, and so I appreciate you being willing to have this conversation.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be part of this and just continuing to share my story as well as just be myself. So I'll start with myself. I was born as a female to a family who was raised with high Christian faith on my mother's side and high Catholic faith on my father's side. I am one of 8, and I am the oldest. I have 4 siblings from my mom and the gentleman that I grew up with. I called him Dad, but came to find out when I was 18 years old that I was actually not his. And I had 4 sisters from my biological dad.
Did you know the 4 sisters before you turned 18?
No, I did not.
Wow.
So it was an outreach when I turned 18 to my biological dad and got in touch with him as well as my 4 sisters, which I have had a relationship with off and on since I was 18. Like I said, I was raised in a high Christian and Catholic family, church with mom, and then church with dad, going to mass and late night mass, all those catechisms classes.
So
just
really
being through that.
A mix of, I would think of it as Protestantism and Catholicism.
Correct.
Both being Christian, of course.
Yes. And I was raised to honor my mother and father. What they said went without question. And I always felt off. I felt different. I didn't feel like my true, authentic self. That was at a young age. I would say about 5 or 6 years old, I started feeling it myself, especially as my mom had my siblings that followed. So after myself, it was my sister, who is 4 years younger than I am, and my brother, who is 5 years younger than me, and then my youngest brother, who's 10 years younger than I am.
Were you, as the firstborn female, uh, expected to take on a sort of a semi-parental mothering type of role of cooking and cleaning and
Yes. I was expected to take care of my siblings, cook, clean. My dad was the one who did the yard work. Um, my job was in the house with my mom, um, taking care of my siblings, helping raise them, so to speak. And it was just, it never, it never really fit me.
mm-hmm.
I would have preferred to be out in the yard, mowing the grass, making sure all that stuff was taken care of, as well as inside chores. Uh, because I don't believe that there should be a segregation on that. But at the time, that's what went, and that's just how we followed suit.
Mm-hmm.
So fast forward to my high school years. I was very proud of myself. I was taking classes through high school that put me in the top of my class. Was able to graduate early if I wanted to, but I chose to graduate with my friends and take some extra electives just to stay within my comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And I always spoke of a boyfriend and this, that, and the other because that's what my parents wanted to hear. When the truth was, I wasn't dating anybody and I was not attracted to men. I was attracted to females. And wholeheartedly, I knew deep down inside this is who I really was. And when I was 15, I tried to come out and was shunned for it.
by your
Telling
by your parents.
Yes, telling me that it was a phase, that I needed to snap out of it, that
Mm-hmm.
this wasn't God's wish for me, that I was dishonoring the family, dishonoring my religion, dishonoring my relationships with
Yep.
my family and friends, that we didn't have the perfect family anymore, and I needed to be hidden away.
Well, that is why many people hide away their true selves for fear of that kind of response. Must have been painful.
It was very painful. I ended up confiding in friends, and I was actually kicked out um, at 15, and I ended up living with a couple friends. Their parents took me in um, and gave me shelter when I wasn't accepted by my own parents. So I had
Thank
to
God for
find,
them.
yes, I had to find the drive to find meaning in my life again. And that went from working harder in school to be able to be proud of myself, as well as just being humble and grateful that I did have my friends' parents to help me out when I didn't have anything at all.
Reminds me of the my own father. Started a school in Spokane, Washington, in 1970. A big reason was to provide a place where LGBTQ youth could come. It was a boarding school, and uh, in a very conservative area. So, and so again, thank goodness that family was there for you.
Yes, I had to grow up very fast and went through quite a bit of heartache not being accepted by my own family, um, but finding the desire to love myself and be okay with other people knowing and getting to know me as me. Um, my female name is dead now. I have fully changed my name. Went through sex document changes as well as uh, everything through the courts, so that I am a full male. Um, and I love my life now. I wouldn't want it any other way. The troubling times that I went through um, in my childhood broke me, and I hit rock bottom to where I didn't know how to love myself. And there was times that I wanted to take my own life because I wasn't accepted by the people that I thought would love me no matter what. And that was a huge shocking turning point in my life, because it wasn't what I expected.
Of course not. And most people struggle with self-esteem. So to have the uh, the messages you were getting, it would be overwhelming, no doubt.
So through that, just growing up and having that change come through, to where I could be myself, and through the time where Obama was in office, and I was graduating high school, and everything was going in the right direction, especially for trans youth and LGBTQ. We were finally getting acknowledged as in my words, the same as a straight couple. And that was leaps and bounds for me, because it was proof that history doesn't have to repeat itself, that people do live. And that was my strong power, that came through, my superpower, as my wife says now, to just be honest with everybody else, and let them know that it's okay. It's okay to feel different. It's okay to be different, as long as you're authentic to yourself and you can learn to love yourself. And
It's a great message.
thank you. I've been married 8 years now, to a wonderful wife who has supported me through thick and thin. She knew me as a female, um, and stood by my side, knowing who I was and who I really was, and has never let me forget that she loves me for me. And it doesn't matter if I have two X chromosomes or an X and a Y. That doesn't matter. She loves me for who I am, and we have had um, not a perfect relationship, because no marriage is, but we work at it every day to make sure that we love each other before we can love each other. Um, just to grow our relationship and our family to new heights, as we try to conquer and be able to live in the world that we live in now, with President Trump working backwards, and trying to eliminate the LGBTQ and erase history.
Yeah, I think he manipulates public fear and goes after, like any autocrat, goes after the people he thinks he can pick on. Uh, I have faith that this will just be a phase that we'll put behind us, but it's an awful phase. I, I have
Yes.
a very dear acquaintance that's 9 now, and was probably when he was 5 or 6 that he said, I'm a boy, even though being born biologically female. And so, I was just immediately thinking of that when you told your story. Uh, and I just, I wonder things like, for you, was there ever any doubt in your mind that you simply identified as male once that like hit you? Or was there a time when you were in, your tweens, or where you thought, well, maybe I'm lesbian? Or was it just really clear to you that there's like one path?
It was mumble jumbled for a long time. Um,
Okay.
because I didn't know. I was an athlete doing
Uh-huh.
3 a day practices, just powering through life as any child and tween would be going through. But I hit a wall when I was 14 and a half. My sister started puberty, and Tom came to visit her. And I was 14, almost 15, and had not had any sign of that time of the month coming.
Okay.
And so I was taken to the doctor, poked and prodded, looked at like I was a chimpanzee in a zoo, and went through a lot of testing and found out that I was born without uterus and ovaries. So I had absolutely no estrogen in my body at all.
Wow.
So that was just a light went off in my head, saying all these feelings that I was feeling as being a boy from a young age, to going back and forth on, well, am I just lesbian, or how is this working? It really was hammered into me as evidence that yes, I was born with the wrong gender given to me.
Yeah, and with physiologically, then a lot of uh, and it's not always this way, of course. People are so complicated. And I think we're all mumble jumbled when we're 12 and 13 and in our own ways. But physiologically, there was a foundation for you feeling the way you
Yeah.
did.
And when it was clear, I knew that moment who I really was. And I was hurt because I knew my parents wouldn't accept it. Um, but I knew that I had to be me. That in order to survive in this life, in this world, I had to be the real me. And for so long as a child hiding that, it killed me. The only thing I knew how to do was shut my emotions away and be angry all the time. And that wasn't fair to my siblings, my friends, even opponents that we played in soccer and basketball. It wasn't fair to anybody at that point. And I I got lucky because it was clear for me.
Mhm.
And not very many people can say that it's clear for them, because, like you said, everybody's complicated. Nobody wears a sign hanging around their neck saying, "Please feel bad for me today because this happened." And emotions and emotions run high, especially in kids and teens, because they're learning how to program all those.
Sure. They're also getting their identity from their relationships and from society, and who it influences everybody to try to like fit in and or just identify as being a rebel. But I always had a clear attraction to the opposite sex, so uh, I was accepted by society for that. Easy peasy.
Mm-hmm.
Now I still had to figure out how to relate to the opposite sex. That's a whole different story. But I didn't have to. I didn't have people telling me I was wrong for the way I felt. And anyway, that's obviously got to be a lot easier.
It has definitely into better situations, especially with the help of and support of the LGBTQ community. That varies state by state, and the shows that are on TV, such as RuPaul and the Drag Race, just showing their authentic self and letting others know that it is okay to be different. It is okay to put on those sparkly shoes and dance like nobody's watching.
Yep,
and it hits home for me because not only was I raised in between churches, but I also come from a Hispanic culture. Mm-hmm. And my dad's parents are from Mexico. So with all of that and my heritage and how I was raised, it literally tore me up. And like I said, I tried to take my own life a few times, and it's not something that I am comfortable sharing with the world. But when I took the class that you guys support and offer to grow and learn emotions and self-awareness and all that, I got to tell my story from beginning to end and got to share who I really was when others had no idea who I was. They only knew me as Asher. But then they found out and they saw where I get my drive from, where I build my emotions, where I seek to help others understand and be heard. Because acceptance is what helps this world go round.
Yep.
And it just takes one person to show you that you don't have to walk the same walk and talk the same talk that everybody else does. It's okay to turn around and walk against them as long as you're authentic to yourself and you can hold your head high.
Well, it's the basis, I believe, of a sustainable democracy. That there's everybody is equal in a democracy, and should be. And I don't think we've accomplished what I would call a sound and sustainable democracy, but uh, it's bullies that pick on people for their characteristics, well, immigrants, LGBTQ, and whoever else they might pick on. Those are anti-democratic tendencies that are somewhat rampant right now, unfortunately. in the United
Yes,
States.
but having faith that that being an advocate and being a safe space will generate not only safe spaces for the LGBTQ community, but the community in general. So that way
Yep.
we don't have to have labels or any set assigned roles that we are seeing right now as history's slowly pushing back.
Mm-hmm.
But I do too also have faith that this is a phase that we will be able to overcome and become better. And that's what I hope for my family, for my wife, for my kids, day in and day out. Because without that hope, I know this world can be very dark and scary. And I for one refuse to let that happen. And I will be one of the first to stand and take that on if it comes down to it.
Well,
I am a safe spot for everyone. If you want, if like my wife and I say, we don't care what time it is, Monday through Friday, 7 days a week, our door is always open, and there's always room or an easy way to make a pot of coffee or some tea and just talk and listen, or sit there and just know that you matter to somebody.
well, we're lucky to have you. I'm lucky to have you as a fellow human, Asher, and citizen. Look, man, I want to cover a couple things. So you mentioned, telling your story, and you were quite brave to do so. We always give people a choice of what to say and what not to say, but the first thing our students do, as you know, is to write autobiography and to read it to their fellow students. And we'll be doing that soon now that the Leadership Institute of Seattle has been authorized to have a master's degree again. So that type of learning is going to increase, uh, which I am thankful that you went through that because you helped enrich the whole class. And as you do the country that we're in. So, but that's one thing I thought of, and then the other is just the foundation of all the stuff I do is Kurt Lewin, as you know, and everything, much of what you're saying just echoes his beliefs about power relationships. He called them minority relationships. Whenever there's people being oppressed by people who have more power, even if they're in the minority, like in Jerusalem, during Jesus's time, the Romans were in charge. Well, there weren't as many as them as there were the Jewish people that were living there. So there were more Jews, but they had no power. And but anytime you don't have power, then it's tempting to try to fit in, to possibly pretend longer that you are the way you're being told that you should be. Uh, Lewin called it passing when he wrote about the Jews, that some would try to pretend they weren't Jewish. Certainly, that made a lot of sense in Nazi Germany. If you couldn't get out, was to try to blend in, and but and just the self-esteem. If people are saying that the type of person you are is wrong and is the cause of all our problems, uh, what a blow to self-esteem, which certainly is going on with African Americans in the United States from the beginning as well. So all those things are related to me. They're all related to, do you have a democracy which really sees people as equals? Of course, we have different skills and talents and all that. But in terms of being human, everybody deserves respect. And uh, That's how you make democracy function, is not to demonize people just for being different. So that's all the work that still needs to be done in the world, and I appreciate your voice as being one brave fighter for human dignity.
Well, I do have to give major uh, props to uh, the company that I work for. They have opened the door of opportunities um, to allow me to be my authentic self, and take me through some of the certificate classes that you guys have offered. Um, and my general manager and other managers are some of the best upper management that I have been through in my work career, and being able to see that they do value people from who they originally are, and being open to allow others to have a say and be who they truly are, with the diversity and the culture that we have. I don't see myself ever leaving, and that is truly a family in its own that I strongly can say without a doubt that if things came down to it, that is my family.
Well, that's sweet, and I of course know the people that you're referring to, and they are remarkable, and they're also human. They make their own mistakes, and but they've also been very patient with crisis, in people going through crisis uh, in the organization, and really hanging in there with them. And so I really appreciate that of your workplace also.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, so uh, is there anything else that you're eager to talk about?
I think that the way that everything in our world, in our country is going right now, we definitely need to have the leaders and have the confidence in one another and learn to love your neighbor, um, all
Mm-hmm.
over again.
Yep.
Just going back down to the basics, because no, I I I was I was taught this later on in life as I took a class, and it was just a reflection of, if you have a child and they go to open the door, they don't care if it's the mailman or the next door neighbor. They're going to ask you, "Hey, you want to come in and play with me?" That's how we need to look at treating everybody, so that way their life is valued to themselves, to see that they're wanted, they're needed. And if we were all just a tiny bit nicer, I mean, I'm not saying be best friends with your neighbor, but at least be cordial. It would make life a lot easier.
Yeah.
And I think when we as a nation can see that, which it might take some time, we'll be in a lot better place.
And I'm with you. We should be a nation that values kindness.
I agree.
It doesn't mean that we don't have to. We wouldn't have to. We would still have to stand up to bullies in the world, but we shouldn't be the bully.
Correct.
For heaven's sake. Uh, yep. Well, Asher, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you doing this. I'm going to take it and edit it. Oh, probably, I don't know, much. I'm not much, but just make sure it all comes together right, and offer it to the world to hear your voice and your story, and to ponder uh, just the terrible cost of prejudice. Any prejudice. I mean, we all have biases, and we each one of us should do our best to still respect people, even if we have some kind of bias. But there's a bias that's pretty strong, that like a person has to be tall to be a leader. That's crazy. It has nothing to do with the capacity to lead, but it helps if you're running for office and you're tall, and it hurts
Yeah.
if you aren't. So we have biases, uh, but nothing. There's no excuse for consciously looking down on other people. There's just no excuse for it. Uh, Certainly not for just being different. I mean, I do look down on people who are intolerant of people. So, that's there's some kind of line there somewhere. But uh, prejudice begets prejudice. And if you hold one prejudice and say, well, I don't like this group, the gypsies in Europe, they're all trash, but I value democracy. Well, you're opening the door to people saying that you're trash, and so none of it's good. None of it's good. We gotta overcome it. So I'm on my soapbox now, but thank you so much for this, Asher.
Thank you. I appreciate, and I'm honored to be a part of this.
Cool. And hopefully someday we'll see you in the second year group with Leadership Institute of Seattle.
I'm hoping.
Yeah, me too.
I'll see you there.
Okay, well, take care. And that's a wrap. So thank you, audience, for listening. Hey, I appreciate you listening. This, again, is Gil Crosby. And I want you to take advantage of what's available to you. I have many free materials. I am happy to talk to people about their situations, especially if you're trying to create change, either social change or organization change. We have frequent workshops that are available, T group workshops. If you have never been in a T group with us, then don't miss it in your life. It's many people have said to me, of all the trainings I've ever received, I got this one 30 years ago, and it's the only one that stuck with me. You're learning from your actual interactions with the other participants and with the faculty. The faculty are walking the same talk that they're teaching of behavioral skills. It's a training workshop. That's what the T stands for. This is done in the spirit of the creation of T groups by Kurt Lewin and his associates. It's for groups. It's for teams. That's how it was originally designed. It is a opportunity to learn about theory and put it directly into practice. Again, the original design, you learn things and then you put them into practice. It was not just all ambiguity, which is how some T groups, most are led today, where the faculty hardly says anything. That's not how this is designed. So join us for that. There's always workshops. There's the Leadership Institute of Seattle, which has certificate programs, a two-year program where you will learn from T groups and learn how to do all the organization development work that my father designed, most of it, and I continue that practice alongside my brother Chris and many other associates. So don't be a stranger. There's a lot going on. It's always changing. So be in touch, and it's on the website, crosbyod.com, Well, I look forward to working with you in your organization or as you pursue things like reducing gun violence and decreasing racism in our society. Whatever your goals are, the social science of Kurt Lewin guides how to achieve those goals in a reliable way. And so that's what I apply and practice every day. And I invite you to do the same. Together, we can create high productivity and morale in organizations. We can create stronger foundations for democracy. We can create a better world.